My name is Tim Carter, and I'm speaking on behalf of LAMP Theological Institute. I'm literally speaking from the international headquarters of BaptistLamp.org, the website that hosts LAMP Theological Institute, and all of this is a product of Landmark Media Productions. But here at BaptistLamp.org, this literal building here, this international headquarters, you'll see one of the stations here through the building here in this hallway. This one's about Missionary Baptist Seminary. One thing you can't see, and sorry about that, but it's a little lower here, but I noticed it's Missionary Baptist Institute graduating class, and it's referring to three-year course diploma with title of Master in Bible, and it lists the names, and you'll see an address at that graduation. Dr. Benham Bogard, here's Brother Glover, Bogard, Guthrie, and even L.D. Foreman. These pictures go all down the hallway to Paul Goodwin. Quite a legacy in history. Examples of some of the older publications. The Bible Proved by Science. It's a refutation of modernism, infidelic skepticism made ridiculous, and it's by Benham Bogard, Bachelor of Science. Here's another by William Jennings Bryan, The Bible or Evolution. Anyway, this is, it's like when you're in this place, I feel more comfortable wearing a jacket and a tie, so it's quite an honor. Here's a picture that is not the most becoming, but it has several people in it. It appears Dr. Goodwin, Dr. John Owen, Dr. John Penn, Dr. Fred Mining, and Dr. L.D. Capel. Here's they enjoyed fishing at that day, and it's certainly a lot of history. Here, a picture of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church at 22nd and Brown. So, although I was never familiar with these things, and a lot of people today weren't, because of LAMP Theological Institute, you can avail yourself of resources produced by Dr. John Penn, published and placed online by Dr. John Penn, of other authors, scholars, and pastors, and co-laborers with Christ all. So this is just one of the stations I just couldn't help but share it, and so many people appreciate it. And then sometimes people think those guys were really serious back then. Well, they were battling things on the front line that's now far behind us today, which might be somewhat deceptive for us to not recognize the battle today, especially with freedoms from harm or unlawful punishments. We have a freedom of conscience, thought, and speech. We have resources. We have facilities. We have technology. We have an unsurpassed legacy of the Baptist faith for 2,000 years from the days of Christ. Irrefutable, especially in today's culture where there's so many people who once rejected the 2,000-year history of the Baptist faith as going back to that church that was prepared, those people baptized by John, who then began to baptize others, and they mock that. But strange how some of them have adopted the adamant position of young earth, where 6,000-year history of man, and now they're having to try to reconcile, were the Gospels historical? Was John the Baptist an actual person? Did Christians actually baptize? So I really enjoy, personally as a pastor, people trying to construct history now for 6,000 years, because it looks like they're now joining the Baptist in constructing our history for just 2,000 years. So it's very fascinating to see some of the demands for literal interpretation today, which always favors those who pastor the Lord's New Testament churches, because we've been crying out from the time Christ called us out and began his church during his earthly ministry, and calling people to come out and to believe and to trust God's word. And now we have his completed word today. We have been entrusted the gospel. Our New Testament churches are gospel-centered. Our baptism is about the gospel. Our communion is into the gospel, and our commission is to continue to take this gospel. So These folks might have been perceived as grave and serious. However, they were quite successful and had a warm, sweet spirit about them, and agonized a good agony and provided so many things for us today. And if you truly want to know what's remarkable about it is, as you study the history of the Baptist, and you study the history of the Lord's New Testament churches, and you study the history of martyrdom, the trail of blood, and the trail of water baptism, which always triggered martyrdom, you'll find that many of us are men of great faults, and we reflected often things of our culture that were not always contemporaneous or corresponded with Christ, and yet God highly favored us by doing His will through earthen vessels. And it's as Dr. Penn taught us early on in the seminary, it's not that good men do bad things, it's that bad men are used by God to accomplish good things. So God's favor is you'll recognize it. You'll see His faithfulness to comfort, come alongside, and oversee His churches throughout history, assuring that they prevail all things, even the gates of hell not prevailing. So the churches are prevalent, but here the Lamp Theological Institute is a treasure. It's more than the seminary. It's the seminaries. It's more than the current faculty. It's all the faculties that have gone through the school. It's more than a local pastor or Dr. John Penn or Dr. John Owen or Dr. Capel or any of these men. It's all of this that has co-labored in association for the greater good of the gospel and for the glory of God. So enjoy this, and if you have the opportunity to visit the headquarters, international headquarters, baptistlamp.org, just contact Dr. John Penn if schedule affords it and accommodation can be made. He'd be happy and very hospitable. So you have a blessed day and enjoy the Lamp Theological Institute.